Welcome to a Sweet Savor Bible School. Thank you for watching. My name is James Reinarz, and this is a clip from a Zoom class I taught recently on the history of Christian hymns, with a focus on singing devotionally. There were several parts to the class, but these clips are just of the lecture portion. More information can be found in the description. This semester, more than the first semester, we need to start by knowing who is this man, Watchman Nee, and that's for a couple reasons. We are, because of the insight in this book, Christ and Hymnology, which is a study of the hymnal that Watchman Nee wrote, curated at the end of his life. We are going to be seeing the fingerprints and what is unique about his curation in our hymnal. So, he wrote a hymnal. Christ and Hymnology studies that, and in Songs and Hymns of Life continues that legacy. And so we need to know a little bit about Watchman Nee, because I will actually, each class, say something about him or show something of how what he did with songs or learned with hymns relates to each stage of the history that we are talking about. So just up front, gotta say something about him. So he is a Chinese Christian, 1903 to 1972, and just briefly, he got saved, I believe, in 1919, and then very quickly began to just preach the gospel with a band of other friends of his who got saved, and they were really pioneering indigenous evangelism. So for a Western missionary term, that means these are the actual locals are starting to lead the spread of the gospel. It's not Westerners coming over to share the gospel. So it's indigenous evangelism, and he was planting churches in China over these 30 years. And his ministry really emphasized two things which often get divided in Christian experience. He emphasized having a deep inner life while having a really active and engaged life in evagelism. It was, some people can be inner life or activity. This was very much, yes, the whole thing together. And they really sought to go back to kind of like the simple and the basic practices in the Bible. They sought to practice Christian unity the way that the Bible examples it in churches. And the end of his writings, his spiritual writings, his preaching and teaching have continued to be kind of appreciated by the broader Christian world. But lesser known is that in 1951, right before he was arrested, he completed a large hymnal of over 1,000 hymns. And the legacy of that hymn, he considered this his last contribution to the universal church. And the legacy of what he brought together in that hymnal actually is kind of traced down to Songs and Hymns of Life. This is very much influenced by what he did. And then Christ and Hymnology really shows us what is special in the view of history and what he brought together in that hymnal. So what do I mean by that? That's a picture of the first page of the 1052 hymnal, really from 1951. What do I mean by saying Songs and Hymns of Life continues that legacy? So one of the major insights that Christian Shen and William Mallon have when they studied Watchman Nee's hymnal is that he drew 80% of his 1052 hymns from just 5 sources. So maybe that's 200 or so hymns per source. And these are the 5: hymns, ancient and modern; songs of the little flock by the Brethren; hymns of consecration and faith by the Keswick Convention; sacred songs and solos by Moody and Sankey; and hymns of the Christian life by A.B. Simpson. And if you look at Songs and Hymns of Life and just consider what are the authors that have 10 or more hymns in our hymnal, you get kind of a neat list. Get kind of a neat list. There's Margaret Barber, Horatio Bonaire, Titus Jew, Fanny Crosby, Francis Havergal, A.B. Simpson, Charles Wesley. And then you look at people who wrote as a group or were part of a movement. There's another list. John Newton and William Cooper, they wrote together. That's 10. Watchman Nee, or things that he brought, we have because of him. That's over 10. Keswick Convention, that's many writers, but together there's maybe 20 hymns in our hymnal from the Keswick Convention. And from the Brethren, again, many writers, but from their movement we have 22. So if you look at this breakdown, many of these are just classic authors. Classic authors. Any hymnal would have them. Everybody appreciates their value. And this is largely what we covered in the first level. But there's a large influence of unique writers that are not found everywhere, and then they may be beloved in their own pocket, but they're very rarely brought together in this combination. That's M.E. Barber, Titus Chew, A.B. Simpson, let me see, Keswick and Plymouth Brethren. And so that most of this is what we will study in this semester. Keswick we covered in level 1. We will not touch Titus Chew's hymns today, but we will look at this kind of unique. So this is our syllabus for this semester. Hymns, Ancient and Modern. We'll spend 2 weeks on the Brethren. We'll look at A.B. Simpson, and then 2 weeks on M.E. Barber and 2 weeks on Watchman Nee. So we will see kind of what he uniquely brought together in this hymnal. Well, that's the end of our section. You can learn more about a Sweet Savor Bible School on our website, link in the description. And for now, I'll say thank you. Thank you so much for watching. May Jesus bless you, and may we become a savor that is pleasing to our God.